Welcome to the Adventures of the Monad. Here we discuss life, the universe, and everything. My name is Kazim Kamal-ur-Rahim. In this series, I ask the question, who are we? Where do we come from? And why are we here? Over the course of approximately 90 presentations, I wish to discuss why and how the universe was created, what form the universe takes, and how matter evolves. I discuss human consciousness, development, and enlightenment. Other topics include time and space, sleep and dreams, paranormal phenomena, good and evil, and the laws of life. Today, I wish to talk about the creation of the universe. I will post one presentation a week. I will also follow up with a question and answer presentation if there is a need to clarify issues based on comments received. Please subscribe to my website and hit the bell icon for notifications of future videos. You can also leave comments and join in forum discussions on my website. I want to invite you to take a journey with me, in which we build a hypothesis about what life is all about. Why are we here? Who are we? And where did we come from? People usually talk about such matters starting with themselves. Was their existence conjured out of nothing? But stop for a minute and reflect on who you think you are and how you actually got to this point. If you look at our evolutionary timeline, you can see a march from simple beginnings to where we are today. We have gone from looking at the world to trying to understand it. I want to take you on a journey. Let's explore the possibilities of comprehending the world. Let's try putting meaning to it and give it a go. My mother related a story to me that when I was 3 years old, she asked me if I wanted to talk about God. I replied there was no need. I already knew God. How could a 3-year-old give such an answer? Somehow, at that young age, life had not separated me from the source from which I had come. I seemed to be remembering it. The word source represents a beginning point for all creation. It is a theme I will return to many times as I develop the ideas I'm presenting to you. What was I remembering? And how could I be remembering it? These are all questions we are going to be looking at. Why are you here right now? I suggest that it is because you feel that within yourself there's something more to life. There must be more than what appears to be happening in your daily existence at present. Like me, at 3 years of age, you know there's something more to life and you want to reconnect to it. Together, we will explore a whole raft of ideas. This will include the creation of the universe to how we evolved. It will also include questions about who we are and the laws that govern our very existence. Consider everything presented as a working hypothesis. It will remain so until you are in a position to prove it to yourself. Once you have a convincing explanation of why you are here, you are in a position to begin moving your life forward. You can do this in a way that helps you realize goals that are not limited to one lifetime. You realize you are building a platform that is going to last for eternity. This platform is indestructible and actually has a purpose. What that purpose is will become clear as you are able to read the signs in your life. This includes the emotions in your heart and the processes governing your thoughts. Building this life view is going to take time. It'll involve us going through a series of knowledge gathering exercises. We will eventually build our understanding into a clearer view of the universe and our place within it. I wish to start by discussing the term esoteric knowledge. I have studied many esoteric books throughout my life. Esoteric means hidden. But clearly, if I know about it, it's no longer hidden. All references to esoteric knowledge imply that in the past, humanity did not have easy access to this knowledge. Knowledge is power, and for this reason, some knowledge has not been shared. Knowledge is for the common good of all. Some people would rather benefit themselves and hold power over others by hoarding that knowledge. I had a general understanding of most of the esoteric books I read. Yet I found some of those books difficult to understand. It was only when I came across the works of a Swedish philosopher called Henry T. Laurency that I found a way of unlocking most of the information in the books I was reading. Laurency laid out a clear body of knowledge taught in a wisdom school about 2,700 years ago. It was by a man you all know well. His name was Pythagoras. A wisdom school is a place of learning. It is here that someone, usually called a master, taught his disciples. The knowledge imparted was esoteric. There were usually 7 grades taught in these schools. However, the number of grades could vary between schools and masters. Hylozoics was the system taught by Pythagoras, and the word means spiritual materialism. Henry Laurency communicated the lower 3 grades of that body of knowledge to us. I would like to point out that Laurency is a pseudonym, not the author's real name. Spiritual materialism is a contradiction in terms. We usually regard material and spiritual things as being opposed to one another. Understanding this contradiction gave me a key. I was able to unlock most of the hidden meaning in the esoteric books I had read. I now had the fundamental basis of all existence in the universe. Hylozoic states that all existence is composed of 3 things. These are matter, motion, and consciousness. Everything in the universe is made of matter, and when I say everything, I mean everything. This is a very significant point. Matter must be present regardless of what level of existence you are looking at. If it exists, matter is at its core. This is an interesting concept to get your head around. We often consider physical and spiritual existence to be separate things. I am saying that they are inseparable. What to us seems empty space is far from it. There is matter vibrating at higher frequencies that we cannot observe yet. I am not talking about subatomic particles, but whole planes of matter. These exist above the physical plane. In fact, there are 48 planes above the physical plane. We will get to this topic in due course. For matter to exist, it must be in motion. If it is not, it would not exist. The aspect called motion is also called energy, will, or power. At the moment, I want you to focus on the word motion. I have had many discussions with students of esoterics. They talk about the spiritual realms as being devoid of matter. They say it is spiritual instead of material. I wish to make it very clear right from the outset of this journey that we will always be in the realms of matter. No matter how spiritual it is always composed of matter. Matter can transform itself into energy according to current scientific thinking. In Pythagoras' universe, everything must contain matter. Matter dissolves into higher forms of matter, which is vibrating at a higher rate. This results in the release of energy observed by science. Matter is thus moved by energy, also called motion, which causes it to vibrate. Linking these two elements is a third, which is a form of magnetism, and we shall call it consciousness. So everything must have matter, which is in motion, and this gives rise to consciousness. How matter, motion, and consciousness relate to one another is key to understanding everything. That may seem a bold statement to make. As you encounter new ideas about life, the universe, and everything, ask yourself 3 questions. How does what I am trying to understand relate to the 3 fundamental building blocks found in everything? Those building blocks being motion, matter, and consciousness. Pythagoras is proposing something fascinating. He is suggesting that everything in the universe has consciousness. Does this mean rocks are conscious? Well, Pythagoras states that everything has consciousness at 4 basic levels. The first is potential consciousness. This means matter starts by being unconscious completely. When I say this, I don't mean unconscious like a rock. Rocks are way more conscious than the particles I'm talking about. This potential conscious particle will evolve further into consciousness. The second level of consciousness is passive consciousness. Matter that has passive consciousness can respond to external stimuli. In further presentations, I will be discussing elementals. This life form responds to external stimuli, but cannot act independently from them. The third level of consciousness is active consciousness. Matter that is actively conscious is able to learn something, remember it, and then repeat it. However, active consciousness is not conscious of itself. A good example are the cells which make up your muscles. They can learn to play a piano or hit a ball, almost without you having to think about it. They do this in an automated manner. They remember something and repeat it without knowing why. The fourth and fundamental level of consciousness is self-consciousness. Matter is now conscious of itself. This is what we as humans have. We are self-conscious. So, to recap, matter is always present, and to be present, it has to be in motion. It is also conscious in one of 4 potential ways. These are potential consciousness, passive consciousness, active consciousness, and self-consciousness. What then is the smallest unit of matter? Whatever it is, it has to be the fundamental building block of the entire universe. Pythagoras gave the name primordial atom to the smallest unit of existence in the universe. He also called it the monad. Now you see where the title of this presentation comes from. The monad is the smallest unit of existence. This also happens to be us. We will discuss the origins of the primordial atom in greater detail. For the present, remember, every unit of existence must have three fundamental attributes. These are matter, motion, and consciousness. Now that I've introduced you to our friend the monad, let us consider the biggest question of all. Where do we come from, and when did it all begin? I guess the easiest place to start is before there was even a universe. The Greeks had a word for this place. They called it chaos. Hylozoics teaches that there is a mode of existence which is beyond time and space. We can think of this as an antiverse as opposed to the universe. The antiverse comprises a substance called primordial matter. This is not the primordial atom which is found in the universe. This is a state of matter before there's even a universe. This matter has two contradictory aspects. It has absolute density. This means there is no space anywhere within its boundaries. If there is no space, then the concept of space cannot exist. This is a very different place from the universe. In the universe, we can see and feel solid matter. But no one atom ever touches another atom of matter. What looks solid is almost empty space. If you remove all the space between the atoms that comprise humanity, the amount of space humanity would now occupy would be the size of an apple. I give the example of the apple to try and imagine what it would be like to have absolutely no space at all. In the antiverse, as already stated, there is no space between primordial atoms. If there is no space between atoms, there can be no space at all. These atoms have absolute density. The antiverse never itself comes into existence. It never goes through a cycle of any kind of existence or of non-existence. It is always there. It is infinite. Let me repeat. If there is no time, then there can be no beginning. The question of where something comes from or starts does not apply. It was always there. The second contradictory aspect found in the antiverse is absolute elasticity. This means the antiverse can expand to contain whatever is within it. This has implications when a universe comes into existence. So all matter in the antiverse is completely solid, and yet it is completely elastic at the same time. Let us recap. We know atoms go to make up matter. When the atoms are vibrating at a slow rate and appear to be solid, we can grasp them. We, however, know that most of an atom is composed of empty space. The antiverse is what existed before the universe came into being. The antiverse has no space within it. Space does not exist at all. It has always existed, so there is no unit of time present either. The antiverse is the basic fabric of all that is and all that can be. This is the state of being that has limitless potential. Ponder that thought. Limitless potential. What does this mean when it comes to the formation of the universe. In fact, is there any limit to the number of universes possible? The Kabbalah refers to the antiverse as the Ein Sof. The Hindus call it Parabrahm. It is from within this limitless potential that our universe comes into being. This is a concept and will remain as such until our consciousness is able to observe it, if that in itself is possible. This concept is not new. Many schools of religious and esoteric thought have proposed it. I have at least given you an answer, no matter how inadequate it is, to the question, where do we come from? It is a lot easier to pose questions about the universe rather than the antiverse. So let's look at that next. I want you to imagine that within the limitless potential of the antiverse, there is a point of consciousness. In fact, there are many points of consciousness, but we will concentrate on just one. We are going to call it the Absolute. This Absolute hatches a plan that is so vast and so complete that it will become a whole universe. A universe from its start to its completion. To realize this plan, the Absolute begins to build out the universe by creating a bubble. This happens to be in an infinite sea of primordial matter. This is the dense stuff we have been talking about up till now. The sea of primordial matter gives birth to the universe as we know it. At the same time this happens, time and space are born. The expansion of the bubble and its existence until it disappears is a unit of time. And it's this unit of time that means that there always has to be time in creation. The fact that the bubble expands or contracts means that there has to be space within it. What is more significant is the fact that the primordial atoms that were touching one another no longer do so. They have become primary atoms and are almost completely composed of empty space. It is useful to repeat the point that in the antiverse there is no time and no space. In the universe we have both. Why is this an important concept to grasp right now? The reason is that I am told by students of esoterics that time is an illusion. They often state that as consciousness expands, time disappears. This is true to a point. However, I am proposing something different to you. If the universe goes through a periodic cycle of existing and then not existing, time must exist. The period, no matter how long, is a unit of time. So, in a manifested universe, there has to always be time. This does not imply that time has to be the same at all levels of consciousness. It implies that time is always present. Connected to time is space. If a universe comes into existence, it does so in a unit of space. So, space has to always exist as well. Hold these concepts of time and space very close to your heart. Also, remember the concept that you can never have consciousness without matter. You are likely to encounter the mantra that we are all trapped in time and space. The suggestion will be that somehow we have to liberate ourselves from these constraints. This liberation we are told, occurs when you move into the spirit world. I have given you an alternative viewpoint. In the second presentation, I wish to tackle the challenging topic of who or what is God. If you wish to read the script of the presentation or leave comments, please feel free to do so. Links to my website are in the description box below, or click on the icon at the end of this video, if I can work out how to do that, or just go to the description box below. Thank you very much.